Creating monsters. Creating monsters. I'm Bishop Sherman D.Manning. Listen, I should have my neck brace on, but I don't. I want you, if you have not read this book, to read this book. Says this is an awesome book. Every person should read it. Unputdownable. You got to get this book. I got to watch that neck. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm apologizing to y'all for almost hurting myself. Creating monsters. If you're concerned about justice, if you're concerned about wrongful convictions, if trials excite you, if you read fiction by Scott Turow or John Grisham or any of those guys, read this book. This is real life. Ladies and gentlemen, we're living in a time where all someone has to do is say you did it and you go to jail. You can spend the rest of your life in prison for a rape, for a child molestation, for a murder, for an assault that you did not commit. They can say that the perpetrator had a .357 Magnum or any kind of gun. They can find you, never find the gun, but you'll go to prison. And don't mess around and have a criminal record, because that will add fuel to the fire. You're guilty till proven innocent. I'm sorry to say it, but in this country, if you're not a millionaire and you get charged with a crime, there's a 75 to 80% chance you're going to be convicted, because who can go up against the government? They used to say you can't fight City Hall. It's hard to fight these prosecutors, even in Los Angeles, in a democracy where most of them claim to be liberal and most of them claim to be Democrats. But they walk you. If you got a suit and tie on, you're slick and manipulative. If you have a hoodie on, you're a thug. You're darned if you do, you're darned if you don't. You done it, and that's just it. Nobody's just going to lie on you out the blue. And don't let it be two people instead of one. It's almost over before you get started. Without divine intervention from God and a magnificent lawyer, you will find yourself sitting in prison for a crime you didn't commit. And let me remind you of this. In this country, you're supposed to be presumed innocent. You're supposed to be innocent till proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt to a moral certainty. And unfortunately, most jurors don't understand that. They don't get that. They feel like if it quacks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, if there's smoke, there must be fire. That's not what the law says. And let me tell you one other thing the law says, or scholars have said. I would rather 10 innocent men go free. I'd rather 10 guilty men go free than one innocent man go to prison for a crime that he did not commit. But this justice system does not look at it that way. I'm a living witness today. They will send you to prison for a crime that you did not commit, and you'll be a suspect for the rest of your life. If Joseph in Genesis chapter 37 were alive today, he would be registering as a sex offender. And when most rabbis met him, when most pastors met him, when most Christians and Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics met him, once they Googled him and found out he was a registered sex offender, most of them would not want to deal with Joseph. We love to talk about things historically when we're looking back in time on the Torah, back in time on the Bible. But what about the Josephs that are among us right now? America, we need to be ashamed of ourselves for what we've done with this justice system. And let me tell you, you should read this book and you'll see what I'm talking about. Creating Monsters. I wrote it years and years ago, and it is quite timely. I'm telling you again, if you get charged with a crime in this country, you can be as innocent as Mother Teresa. You can be as innocent as the Pope. They will send you to prison in a heartbeat just because they think you might have done it. There's something wrong with this justice system. Look at who the president is. Look at what he was convicted of. And look at where he is right now. Look at the people that he just pardoned. People who attacked police officers on camera. Some of whom pled guilty to assaulting police officers. I promise you, I hate to tell you this, but it's true. If they were black, they'd be still sitting in jail right now. They'd be still sitting in prison. So your president said it's okay to assault a police. And then he said something like this. I remember the quote. He said, well, they've been in prison for quite a long time anyway. He was trying to justify pardoning violent offenders. He said they've already been in prison for a long time. So let me see. This happened in January 2021. We're now living in 2025. Most of them didn't go to trial until 22 and 23. So he's calling 2 or 3 years in prison a long time. I wish they thought about that before they sent me away for something I didn't do. So maybe we're going to get a new look at justice in this country with this president. Maybe he's going to decide that 3 years is a long time for a violent crime. If that were the case, then we need to open up the floodgates. There's a lot of guys in there who need to come out right now. Creating Monsters. Get this book. Read this book. Bishop Sherman D.Manning. I still love America, and I love you too. Keep the faith, everybody.